Hey everybody, it's Jasmine and I'm back with another review. Today I want to review the entire Urban Decay and Prince collection. We have a couple of items here that I have never tried. Well, I mean, everything I haven't tried, but I am familiar with Urban Decay shadow formulas, but there are some newer items in this collection that I thought were really interesting, such as the body luminizer as well as the Kajals. As always, I am going to have timestamps in the description box below in case you wanted to skip around in this video so that you guys could see specific reviews on products that you guys might want to purchase. So first and foremost, I am going to go ahead and review the brush as well as the liquid face and décolletage illuminizer. Now I did use these together, that's why I want to review them together as well. This is called the MULTITASKER brush and this is going to retail you for $28. It does remind me of the iconic Bare Minerals brush where there's like a hole in the middle, so you just fill in that hole with either foundation or your illuminizer or anything like that, and then once you work it into the skin it kind of distributes evenly because it has that hole and you're just working in circular motions. And then as far as the liquid illuminizer, this one is going to retail you for $32 and there is only one shade available, and I feel like this shade is, I mean, it is kind of versatile, but also I feel like they should have came out with more shades definitely, because it's definitely that like medium golden neutral glow. It's really sheer. I would say it's even more sheer than the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfectors. So this to me is something that you would really enjoy if you do use tinted moisturizers or you just like having a light sheen of body glow. It's really sheer, so I think overall when I have my makeup said and done, typically I do apply this underneath foundation. That's how I like to apply my luminizers. I feel like everything said and done, I don't necessarily see it a whole bunch. I mean, I do see like a slight bit of glow if I take photos or if I'm out in the sunlight, but I mean, it's definitely not packing the punch that, you know, Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector would. So, I mean, for that reason, I do feel like it needs to be a little bit more improved on if they do decide to make this a more readily available product in the Urban Decay line. But then as far as the brush is concerned and using them together, I think that it actually is really nice. I found that it was just nice, even, soft, smooth. The brush was really amazing to use. It was like that perfect combination of density but flimsiness so that you could really buff it into the skin. I did feel, however, because I don't typically use a lot of brushes for liquid products, that it was a little bit streaky. That's why I just prefer sponges overall. But I mean, even blending out the luminizer with the sponge, I still got the glow. So I mean, hey, it works. I don't think that I would have actually spent money. Like, I did get this in PR, but I truthfully don't think I would have spent my personal money on those two items. It is great to have, but it's definitely not a necessity or something that I would have actually gone out and purchased myself. I think out of this entire collection, I was the most excited to try this. Now, this is just a repackaged version of a product that Urban Decay already has, but this is the All-Nighter Waterproof Setting Powder. I have always wanted to try this powder, but every single time I had seen it in Sephora or Ulta, I've always just been like, I don't need a powder right now. And so when I got this, I was like, oh my god, I could finally try it. Now, if I hold it up to my face, it looks like it could be translucent, right? It looks like it's pretty fair, but it's really weird because when I apply this on my skin with a brush, it looks a lot darker than my skin tone. And so I think for me personally, I just use this mostly for like underneath my bronzer. It's really weird because underneath the eyes, it kind of alters the concealer shade that I use. And that's not really what I like. That's not really what I go for. But as far as formula is concerned, if we're just overlooking the color of this actual powder, I think that it's actually really nice. It smooths out my skin. It is pressed in pretty hard, so when I go in with my brush, I feel like I have to really coat it. Sometimes it doesn't even distribute evenly because it is pressed in so hard. So I mean, pros and cons with this. I think overall I'm pretty satisfied with it. I would definitely give this like a 7 out of 10 because it's a good powder, but it's definitely not my favorite. You know, it doesn't compete with some of my other holy grail powders on the market. So I mean, I'm satisfied and I'm happy that I got this in PR just to try, because ultimately I feel like if I did buy this with my own money, it's $34. If I had purchased this full price, I think I would have been a little bit upset because of the color change on the skin. And I actually didn't even test this for flashback, but I'm pretty sure it has a little bit given the formula. It feels like one of those like mica powders that like those HD powders, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised if this did have flashback, but overall, like I said again, very satisfied with it. Now let's go ahead and talk about the 2 eye pencils. Now we have a black as well as a white. Now a lot of you guys have been trying to perfect my pronunciation of Kajal, and I feel like I get so many comments, and like when you guys break it down, I feel like it's different every single time, so I'm just gonna say Kajal. So I find that these are pretty good. I never really reach for these because they're so jumbo. I'm gonna show you the size of them. It looks like this, and you can sharpen these, which is nice, but I feel like overall I'm more of like the thin tip person, because when I'm working with my eyes, the last thing I want to do is take something so large and mess up and get it everywhere, because I do have small eyes. I feel like if you're the type of person who has maybe larger eye spaces, I think you might be more fond of this, because it's like kind of like a NYX jumbo pencil, right? You kind of just get to smudge it all over. I do think that when both of these set on the eyes after you had drawn on your lines, it's set. It's set in place and it's beautiful. So I am going to include my usage of these in my tutorials that I'm going to be uploading at the end of the video. You guys know the drill. And I wanted to mention how the white stayed white all day when I used it, which was amazing. It's so hard for me to find a white pencil that actually stays white and that actually stays on the eyes. These both are $25, so that is expensive, okay? For me personally, for like a sharpenable pencil, if you're really looking at it that way, that's expensive, but also I feel like it is the Urban Decay quality that we all know and love, you know, like the 24/7 Glide On pencils. Perfection. I just think that this is more of like a bigger version of that. So it is quality, it is nice. However, realistically, I think that I would only use these on occasion. I don't think that I would use these every single day. I think they are nice. I do think I will gravitate more towards the white though if I need it. And as far as the black, I have so many black pencils that realistically I don't think I would reach for it, but they are nice. They are really, really good. It's just that 25 for a pencil is kind of steep. Now, something that you've all been waiting for, I have the Prince palettes. Okay, I wanted to show you, but obviously it just magnetically closed. But yes, here they are. I want to include the tutorials for both of these palettes at the end of the video. Now, I wanted to go ahead and talk about each individual palette separately. Before I get into that, they don't have names on it, and I really want to read you the names of the palettes that are on the website. So this is called Let's Go Crazy, and then this is called You Got the Look. So here is this palette. Now I feel like with the You Got the Look palette, it's very interesting because when I first saw this and I first opened the palette, I just thought, damn, this is like another Naked palette, but just reconstructed, because you get like the gold, you get the cool tone matte there, you get like the beige shade, and then you get like the gunmetals and the black, right? So it just seems like your typical Urban Decay eyeshadows. Now, these palettes retail for $55, which is not surprising because I feel like Urban Decay kind of just has that $50 price point with all of their palettes. So not anything super crazy, but as far as the packaging real quick, very pretty. I like this little like tri-fold situation that we have. Is it even called a tri-fold if you're not folding it? No, it is a tri-fold. It is, yes. I like that, and I like how there's a little mirror here, and I do like how there's Prince's eye over here as well. But I just want to talk about the formula real quick of this palette in particular. I found that I got a really pretty eye look with this palette. I did like a gold smoky eye that you guys will see at the end of the video, but I did feel like the gold faded, which I felt like was so not Urban Decay. It was really weird. At the end of the day, after like 8 hours, it started to fade, which I feel like for gold, okay, whatever, like we could, you know, we could just walk past that real quick. But I mean, as far as $55, I want every single shade to work out for me, you know what I mean? And as far as like the other shades, I do think that they blend in pretty well. I don't find myself like having any issues, even though some of these shades, like this one, Groovy Potential, it is a matte, but it has like glitter just tossed in there. I do feel like even though that's there, it blended out pretty good as well. So I mean, blendability wise, it is nice. It is your typical Urban Decay quality. And then as far as the purple palette is concerned, this is obviously the one that I am wearing on my eyes today. I do really like the look that I came up with today. However, because I was working with primarily purples, the purples were really hard to blend at first. It wasn't until I blended in the blue into my crease where it actually started to blend in and mesh in with each other. So that was the saving grace of this look. If it weren't for the blue, I don't think I would have achieved this look at all. So I used, I think all of the purples in this look. And honestly, I think that it blended out pretty well. Comparing it to the other Urban Decay purple palette, let me get that out. I do have a review on it. Ultraviolet palette, remember her? I'm gonna hold up this Prince palette just so you guys could see like a side by side real quick. I'm trying not to drop anything. Here are what the palettes look like side by side. I think off of first glance, you probably will think like there are some repeat shades. So let me go ahead and do some swatches. I think that'll be really helpful in case you already have the ultraviolet palette, or if you are thinking of getting it and, you know, maybe wanting to skip the Prince palette. I'm just gonna do the swatches. From ultraviolet, we have Mind Slip. This is a matte, sorry. My arm has like patchy sunscreen, so there it is blended. And then from the Prince palette, this is Alphabet Street. So this one has a little bit more pink in it as opposed to peach, but it is still kind of the same tone, just like very, very minimal difference there, as you see. I decided to zoom you in and just move the camera. So from the ultraviolet palette, we have the shade Optimized. And then from the Prince palette, we have the shade Get Your Groove On. Still very similar, but just like a little bit off. You see what I'm saying? Ultraviolet Cyberpunk has a little bit of shimmer in there. And then the Prince palette, Delirious. Ultraviolet Purple Dust. Ooh, that's very pretty. And then here I have Baby I'm a Star from the Prince palette. There we go. I think that one had like the most difference. Sorry if my arm was like so low. I am very sorry. It's so hard for me to do these swatches. So there are just some comparisons from the ultraviolet to the Prince palette. Now here's my verdict now that I have swatched some of the shades. I do think that if you wanted to support the Prince collection, if you're like a huge Prince fan, definitely get this. However, I think the main difference is that you are getting the two blues and then you are getting this maroon down here. So you do get a little bit more of like color variety in that sense. But if you already own like the ultraviolet or are thinking of getting an ultraviolet, you get more nude shades here. You get a beautiful teal, and then you get some like dark, deeper tones down here so that you could really deepen up the crease. I do find that there are more shimmers to matte ratios in both palettes. So just consider that if you are somebody who likes more mattes, you just get more shimmers with both. So without further ado, let's go ahead and into the tutorials. right, you guys, that completes this review. I hope you guys all found it really helpful. I try to give as many pros and cons as possible. I know not every launch is going to be a huge hit and not every launch is going to be a huge flop. So I wanted to at least give you guys some honest thoughts, some honest opinions. And for the most part, I think that it is really nice. I do see myself using the palettes. I do see myself using the eyeliner, the powder, the luminizer. So it's not all bad. I mean, I would still use it. It's just that there are some that I would use more than others and just in different variations. So I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you gonna get it? Are you gonna skip it? Are you gonna wait for a sale? Because, you know, I know that there are some people out there who would genuinely wait for a sale. I don't judge, because me too. So I hope you guys all really enjoy this one yet again, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye! Peace out, Girl Scouts.